Hello, welcome to Shadowrun Out of Nest and On Edge. No, Frosty, yes, I did mute myself, but specifically so I could set up the recording. Um, God damn it, I gotta stop doing that. We left off with the group receiving information about a job that involves breaking into a suspected Evo Corporation black site to retrieve data for a technomancer, or at least a self-proclaimed technomancer. None of you have confirmed that Sliver actually is what he says he is. But all in all, he seems very much genuine and very much desperate to get this job done. Well, more determined than desperate. He would have reached out, I think, to Ace through official channels. But Abraxas, how do you want to suggest your character gets involved in this job? Because your character hasn't actually had any run-ins with this group yet.
I'm not really sure, honestly.
Let's see here. Ace is constantly looking for someone who is lost. Do you think that Briar has any skills which might assist in that?
Probably, since, well, I mean, one of the spirits has that search ability, so that might help.
In fact, I think both of them do.
Yeah, I think so.
So perhaps we could suggest that Briar and Ace had... the reason Ace wasn't at the meeting with the Technomancer is because he was busy meeting with Briar to find out what it is, what amount of money that he'd, or services he'd need to provide to ask Briar to use those spirits to track someone down. Frosty, does this sound appropriate to Ace?
I believe so. That seems plausible. After all, Ace does look for almost any help he can get.
And I'd imagine, Ace, you've heard of Briar in the context of she is a magician who... She doesn't seem to have a lot of friends. At least not physical friends. Her work history doesn't seem to include a whole lot of, what's the word? Notoriety or infamy. So she's potentially the sort of mage you can go to for something that you don't really want her to blab to some of her friends about.
Yeah.
So you two would have a brief meeting. Ace, how much information would you share about your objective?
My personal.
Frosty,
Do
I
you
think
mean Ace's personal?
Yes. Would he ask? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. Probably for now that he is looking for someone very important to him. You know? For now.
Would perhaps something along the lines of Ace would like to get to know Briar a little bit better professionally before actually proceeding with this particular job? just learn how trustworthy she is in the field, perhaps?
Well, at least one meeting would be required.
But, yeah, but
He
this
has
is,
a knack for.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that not even a job necessarily is required, but yeah, that's a good, you call it a measure stick to how reliable someone is.
Okay,
Takes them on a
so
job.
to help just grease the wheels here, do both of you as players feel it would be appropriate for your characters to have got to talking? Briar finds out about Ace's job for the Technomancer, and one of the two of you asks for Briar to tag along, and eventually this all comes together with Briar joining Ace when meeting with the Technomancer Johnson. Is that acceptable for both of you?
As long
me-
as Ace seems honest.
Ace is the kind of man that he'll make himself seem however he thinks he needs to seem for his benefit. He is a social adept. His mastery is making people believe in him no matter what he says or does.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that sounds believable. Yeah, I doubt she'd see through any deception if he's, like that good at. Yeah.
We could always try with the dice. So, Briar, you'd roll judge intention, and Ace, if you're lying, you roll con. Otherwise, you roll leadership or etiquette.
No, I'm convinced now.
Well, I haven't been lying so far.
Yeah, for those of you who've seen Alucard Abridged or Helsing Abridged, much like what Kara says, he's powerful enough to convince people Space Jam is the best movie of all time.
Or, people to tackle a couch.
Yes, El Diablo's got it. White Chicks was amazing. He believes it too. Ugh.
I remember White Chicks not being so bad.
Ah, it looks like you've already met Alucard.
Apparently so.
But yeah, probably the biggest thing that how would I say that?
I don't think dice rolling would be necessary. I think it's just easier to assume that everything works out. Briar joins Ace, it is, right?
Yes.
At the place that you are at, and just goes along with it.
If nothing else, you would have quote unquote sensed from Ace the calm and a cool resolve, as it were. Like he's on top of the situation all the time, knows what's going on. That sort of. I don't think aura is the right word, but that sort of thing.
Yep. Okay, so Ace, you would bring Briar along. Sliver would be a little bit wary at first, but I'm sure he'll warm up to the newcomer pretty quickly, especially if Briar mentions she's a mage. And Sliver will mention, yeah, we've only got one other mage on the team so far, so it certainly helps to have another. And, he'd confirm with the two of you that this is the kind of job where I really don't want it to have to be about hurting people, but if it comes down to it, then yeah, the job's important enough that if people are really that determined to stand in our way, then you got to do what you got to do, and if anything lethal happens, then I'll take responsibility for it, just so long as you're not a homicidal maniac. Briar, Ace, how do you respond to that?
Briar seems insulted by the implication that she might be a homicidal maniac.
Well, he hasn't got to know you yet. He's just putting this out there in advance, saying that, no assumptions on who you are or what you do. Just, I know that there are people in the Shadowrunning business who happen to be like that. So,
This conversation is in English, correct?
yes, it would be in English.
Yeah. So using the Carnivore Gold to translate, Ace would tell that as I brought her, referring to Briar, to the job, I will take the responsibility if something goes wrong, but I am sure that there won't be any problems.
I'm not expecting the need for anyone to take responsibility for anyone else on this job. So the nature of the job is we're going into an Evo black site. We're going to get me some intel. No, you may not ask what the intel is, but any other information we gather, that is part and parcel of your payment. I'm sorry I can't give you anything up front because I'm broke. I used up all my resources to find this place. Black sites, people generally don't leave that information hanging around. But it's come to my attention that a couple other members of the team, they want payment in the form of information that I could potentially gather for them using my technomancer talents. So if either of you have any specific questions or nagging mysteries that are hanging over your head, let me know. I can look into it. Ace, roll composure.
Yep. Where is my composure? Not as high as I remember it being. Oh. Bloody hell.
Yeah, so Ace, you could turn down this job if you wanted to, because, usually your lost loved one makes you feel like an opportunity like this is too good to pass up, but 5 hits, fuck, you could say, no thanks, and walk away if you wanted to.
Ace would say that he does have some need for possible information, so ready to take him on that.
Is anyone else getting like up and down audio from Frosty?
Yeah, you probably are because I am waffling in my voice.
Oh, okay. And Braxis, is there anything Briar wants as information, or in the future perhaps, is there something you think she might want information regarding?
In terms of what?
Well, the Technomancer is offering as payment secrets. Is there any secrets out there that you want that he could potentially find for you? Is that tantalizing as an offer?
Probably not.
So, do you want to negotiate something else then? Or are you just willing to do a job because you need something to pay the bills?
Paying bills is good. I wouldn't mind magical materials for my potion and salve making.
Magic really isn't my expertise, but this is a black site and it is run by the Evo Corporation, and so there's a chance that there might be some magical stuff there at the location. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I mean, if there's anything magical, nobody else is called dibs, so I guess it's yours as long as nobody wants to fight you for it.
I'm fine with that. Mostly, yes, paying the bills.
Okay, so he'll give the two of you a data chip that has information, including contact information and the preliminary information about the location of the Evo Black site, which I'm just going to move us to the London map real quickly lick. Boop, boop. Excuse me. So the map should load the south side section, and it should say Battersea.
Yep.
Outside.
So it's in the Battersea area of Southside. And I'll have to look up on a real map, but those gray lines here, those look like railway lines. So it's most likely going to be somewhere along here because that many railway lines suggests major industry.
Indubitably.
This black site is an underground facility, and the surface area is covered by an abandoned industrial building that basically has been tied up in ownership claims for decades. So no one has been able to redevelop the area, which is how he figured out this is an Evo site, is because basically all the companies arguing over the land are different subsidiaries of Evo. And there's no reason for subsidiaries of the same umbrella corporation to fight one another. So this is what made it suspicious to him and how he figured it out.
Was abandoned warehouse or
Minor industry, so it was a factory of some sort, but so long ago that all of that equipment is now gone.
So it's all underground then? That might make scouting quite hard.
Yes, the Evo Corporation's black site is underneath the abandoned factory.
If there's a hallway full of lasers, I'm out.
has he managed to find anything else?
He will reconvene with you in about 2 hours in a conference call. So for the next 2 hours, go about doing what you need to do, and then he'll call everyone, and we'll all be in a big conference call together.
Okay then.
Did either of you have any other questions for him?
Oh, sort of out of character. Is it? Do we have a somewhat specific location, or just somewhere along the line of the train?
Like I said, I have to check in the real world Google map, but yeah, it's somewhere in that area. Do you have a specific question regarding that?
Well, just that the our characters know where to go actually.
Yes, no, your location he has
Okay,
given you
good.
is a precise location. The location I as GM have is still up in the air.
Okay. I have nothing further for now.
And yourself, Abraxas?
I'm good.
Okay. So a few of you had told me previously that you wanted to do some activities before the conference call. So who wants to take the reins first? So, Kara, would Voin try to gather those items on her own, or would she go towards the expert on the team, considering she knows who he is already?
And Smoke will also mention that he already has a couple of jammers.
Okay, so Voin, you're going to ask Smoke about jammers. Smoke, you tell Voin, I've got some jammers. What about stealth suits and the like?
It
Yeah, I got
depends
some
on.
jammers for you.
For that, I would. You would have to get it mostly fitted. You'll probably want to go with Callie to get one. But I don't know if we have the time for that.
We get to make our own timetable on this mission.
Yeah, then you'll want to talk to your mom about that. Because you'll have to be fitted for it.
To which Durandal will say, okay.
All right, I know I wanted to scout out the surrounding buildings and such, but sounds like that's not information the GM has yet.
Well, I can make some general statements for you and then find a real world location that meets those general statements, hopefully. If not, I'll just tweak the real world location to make it fit the information you collect.
Well, like I said, I want to know what's around it. Are there any active businesses? Are there any abandoned businesses that we could maybe borrow as a forward bay, as a little staging area? Is there some place that's for rent? Anything like that?
Within how many kilometers of your destination?
One or less, definitely.
So I'll say that there is probably a, what are they called? The conjoined units for commercial building, what are those?
I don't know if they have a specific name.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Conjoined units?
So it's a single building which has dividing walls between commercial space. So it's like what you'd see a dentist and an accountant and a advertiser are all just in the same building.
So like a strip mall almost?
Yeah, like a strip mall, but instead of product commercial, it's like business commercial.
Yeah, so an office building or an office park.
Park, yeah, I guess office park. Okay.
Yeah, so if there's one of those with spaces to rent nearby, well, heck, we don't even have to worry about breaking in. We just, we need to rent this place for a month.
Well, they wouldn't. 1 month, they'd be very hesitant about something like that. They do leasing based on long-term tenancy.
And I'm sure none of us could convince them to make an exception. Or, again, go back to the plan of just break in and use it for as long as we need to.
Yeah, so I'm saying both of those are possibilities. I'm just saying if you're saying we want to rent it for a month, they'd be like, how about we work with you on how to make it last longer than that?
Of course. I guess the other thing would be if there's anything immediately adjacent to this building that might also give us underground access.
It's a pretty dense area. You're going to need potentially someone with a high-grade radar to scan the area to see if there's any, tunnels going down.
Too bad I don't know anybody like that. Actually,
Well-
come to think of it, I think I have a high-grade radar.
Oh, you do? Okay. What's that? Well, what rating is it?
Sensors. Ultra-wideband radar rating 4.
Okay, and you do know radar is active scan technology, which means someone could pick up that you are scanning with radar.
Yep, hopefully I'll be able to keep a fair enough distance that it won't be an issue.
But that's just it. If you can pick up information with the radar, then if there's a sensor at the other end, it can pick up the fact that radar's hitting it.
Oh yeah, I'm not looking for alternative entrances to the underground structure. I'm looking to see if maybe there's an adjacent basement or something. Someplace where if we needed to break in, we could, we wouldn't have to dig a hole.
Who says we need to dig a hole when we can possibly get breaching charges?
Well, that's
How
just
about
digging a hole with
bioradar?
charges.
Does that help?
It might. But of course, Mike doesn't know anything about that.
Just pile it on to the pile of ideas.
But yeah, if you're gonna go around using your radar device in that neighborhood, I imagine you'll try to do it without alerting authorities.
Yes.
So go ahead and give me an infiltration roll, and then go ahead and do a perception roll based on the rating of your radar. Sorry, it would be more appropriate to say a sensor roll based on your radar. While Desperado is typing that out, has anyone else got any other activities on mind?
I do, but I'm still trying to sort them. If anybody else has something, go ahead.
I believe when you're using a sensing device, it is the device is doing it itself. You see, that's one of the things that's always kind of been ambiguous with the rules. What is the page number for your radar and what book?
Arsenal, page 60.
Where is Gian when you need a radar?
We have Cage for that now.
Well, he's not built for infiltration.
Well,
I don't think so.
in sneaky way, no, not at all. In walking through a wall kind of way, yeah.
Yeah, he's good at that. Social way, also don't think that'll work.
Oh,
If anybody bothers him for walking around the neighborhood, you just accuse them of being racist against Cyclops.
or he just picks them up and throws them to the next street.
Well, that's what comes next and is the implied threat.
Hey, I'm walking here. Oh, not anymore.
What's the distance of a signal rating 2? Is that one 40 meters or 100 meters?
I do not remember, but should be able to find that quickly.
Yeah, it's on page, like, I want to say 220 of the core rulebook. I'm looking up something else at the moment, though, so if you can snake that, I'd appreciate it.
I'd also, I'm also thinking it may be handy to check out if there's cameras and such above ground in that area.
Oh, yes, plenty. That's something that Mike would be seeing plenty of, that there are numerous buildings that have various levels of security devices, both of the obvious variety and the more subtle variety.
Let's face it, if there's operating industrial businesses there, they're going to have security just to protect their own stuff.
Yeah.
And a signal rating 2 is indeed 100 meters.
Come on.
40 meters is signal rating 1.
And you can penetrate up to, what was the rating of your sensor?
Rating 4.
4. So 4 times 5 is 20. So you can penetrate up to 20 points worth of obstacle barrier, up to 100 meters in range. And you get a 3-dimensional map. It's excellent at detecting motion. It can calculate exact distances. All right, so it doesn't look like there's technically a role that's actually needed here. It gives you the information. So I guess what you should do is roll for me a logic plus intuition, just to sort of see what kind of information you're interpreting from the readout.
Makes sense to me. This is probably a cluttered area underground.
That is an actual glitch. Do you want
It is
to
indeed.
edge that or leave it as is?
This early, I think I should edge that. So I will. And I still get my 2 hits.
All right, so looking through all this information, there's obviously a lot of sewage lines, underground equipment, and basements and whatnot in a lot of these structures. And you said you were just kind of going around the target building, but not going straight to it?
Correct.
All right. So for a moment, you almost think that you've discovered a underground tunnel that seems to lead in the direction of that facility until you take a closer look at the data and you realize, oh, that's just a major sewer line, and it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's large enough for a Cyclops to crawl through, but there's no guarantee it goes specifically to the destination that you thought it was at first. But overall, you're not going to find anything immediately. Nothing that really jumps out at you as cracking the case open, as it were. Just a lot of stuff that makes sense.
Things that might be useful later, but as of right now, no.
And I imagine you're recording all of this as you go.
Of course.
Right, and you are aware that you have your floating chaperone, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes. So your radar is able to detect the anomaly that is the chaperone.
Okay. But then again, I already know what it looks like if I'm not mistaken, so not a big deal.
Yes, but this at least lets you know that while it's invisible to visual confirmation,
It's not
ultra-
invisible to everything.
Yes.
This will be fun.
Just waiting to find out what Kara's typing, but I guess while we wait, Smoke, you had something in mind? Is Hunter AFK? And apparently Bobob's setting fire to his home.
So, would you repeat what was asked because I was being talked to? So,
I was just saying, was there anything in particular that Smoke wanted to do before the conference call?
he wanted to try and get a line on finding some a way to keep from being seen by astral sight.
Right. So, do you have a knowledge skill that might apply for this?
Security design?
Yeah, you could go ahead and try that.
Should I go with the corporate bonus or without the corporate bonus?
This isn't directly applying to corporate. This is you trying to think about ways to evade astral detection.
Oh shit.
Okay, so the trouble with astral perception is that there are very few ways to really solidly counter it. But the plus side is that if you yourself aren't magical, then you don't really stand out as much when it comes to astral perception. So someone who's reading auras would be able to tell some information about you, but someone who's simply dual natured, they wouldn't necessarily be able to identify you. You're not a magical being. Your aura doesn't have the same kind of signature that, say, Bones does, or that Ace does. Still, there is the issue that while you might be invisible to plain sight, and you might have thermal dampening, and you might have a jammer preventing radar from detecting you, although, of course, the radar device would therefore know it's being jammed, and that's a whole nother bag of snakes. As far as you're aware, you need to rely on a magic solution to deal with astral perception. There doesn't seem to be any simple technological or chemical way to prevent it. There are rumors of some drugs and compounds, but those also have rumors of having incredibly nasty side effects. On top of that, there are some people within the Shadowrunning community who swear by, wrapping yourself in awakened ivy or some other astrally active life form, while it's not invisible to astral perception, it is enough to fool certain automated sensors in the astral. So basically, a watcher spirit told, look for humans, wouldn't see you as a human, so it wouldn't alert its master that you've infiltrated the building, because instead of seeing a human, it'll see walking ivy. That's not weird to a magical creature. Of course, the more intelligent mage security experts would be aware of tricks like that. So it's kind of up in the air just how useful something like that might be on this job. For magical sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, basically, much like radar, you can jam astral perception, but being completely invisible to it is, well, the kind of thing corporations are dumping large quantities of Nuyen trying to figure out.
Which leads us to the best known solution to tricking astral perception: concealment. There is a magical power that's shared by a number of magical entities, most notably spirits of certain types and pixies, have the ability to shield others from detection by all means, including things like radar and ultrasonic waves. And unlike jamming a radar, this doesn't even give those devices the chance to realize that they're being interfered with. It's such a powerful magic, but it does have its limitations. Mostly when it comes to creatures like pixies, they only use it on themselves or people that they're very close with or small objects that they're trying to hide. Powerful enough spirits who are capable of doing this will typically be more apparent in the astral, so they might be able to keep you well hidden, and they'd be able to hide themselves to an extent. If someone does discover that spirit and interferes with it, then you will become visible. So there are ways to counter the concealment. It's not 100% guaranteed, but it's still the best option that you're aware of. And
Can
of course,
you,
I will.
being that you're an expert thief, sometimes it's not a matter of not being seen. Sometimes it's a matter of making sure something else is more interesting to look at. Distractions and misdirections are often more powerful than any level of stealth.
Blend in.
Oh, no,
You
not
belong
even
there.
not even that. More like have a mariachi band playing in the other direction, so everyone's turning to look at that while
Well,
you're
that-
moving behind them.
Too, but also if you manage to do that, you look like you belong. Nobody's going to stop you.
True, that's the other one, but that's a lot harder to do in the astral. Magicians have to do
Oh,
meta
you went to
magic.
the astral.
Yes, magicians have to reach meta magic to do tricks like that. El Diablo, you had a comment?
Yes, I was wondering if it is possible to basically overwhelm the sight of a astral watcher. So, for example, you release a whole flock of birds in an area, and then walk in the middle of that flock of birds. Would they see you through the whole flock of birds?
If you're mundane, yeah, they probably just see you as part of the same mass of life. And if the birds were, say, magical birds, they wouldn't even notice you at all because the magical auras would be that much brighter. However, who's going to let a flock of birds go flying inside an underground facility?
Well, a flock of bats then.
Okay, you have a point there. And
Basically,
then-
the principle is sound. Yes, you can jam their ability.
Well, it's not so much the same as jamming, so much as just overloading.
Smoke screen, then, metaphorically?
Yeah, smoke. Right, and that's the one last thing. The E-Spirit grenade, like Bishojo has, it is a grenade that creates a opaque smoke that can't even be seen through magic. But that means there's also smoke that you are walking through that you'd have to find some way to contend with. And Hunter, I think you had one more thing you wanted to ask or comment on?
So with Smoke would know about the smoke screen, right?
The E-Spirit
Um,
grenade?
Yes.
Yes.
So there's no way to actually just get the component in it that is what repels the astral, what blocks the astral sight, and cover yourself with it.
Okay, so let me just. I'm pretty sure that's an arsenal. Does anyone have the page number on that?
I do not.
I thought it was an arsenal. Yes, here we go. Oh, that's a launch weapon. I'm not looking for a launch weapon. I'm looking for the magic grenade. And Abobob's got another idea that might come in handy. Okay, so maybe it's not in this book? Oh no. Okay, I just misspelt it. Okay, so the Esprit Petite Brume Grenade, um, weapon manufacturer, breakthrough, nanotech, smoke grenade, then piece astral perception. Right. So it is the astral, the fluorescing astral bacteria strain 2, which, yes, you can buy that separately. That is 3 new yen per cubic meter. And what it does is on page 126 of Street Magic, running around all the different books. Street Magic 126. Fab 2. Here we go. Specifically Fab 2 beta, but I'm not seeing the distinction here. So Fab 2 is a dual-natured bacteria. It provides a barrier to astral movement when placed in a nutrient suspension inside a physical container, like a wall. The bacterial colony has a force rating that is used as an used for astral barrier purposes. Airborne Fab 2 has no effect on astral forms other than preventing the use of astral movement faster than 100 meters per combat turn and applying a -2 visibility modifier dice pool inside the cloud. UV light can reveal the passage of astral forms through the bacterial cloud as Fab is displaced, leaving a dark shadow where the astral form is. So what does type 2 do? Type beta, where is that?
That's probably specific to the grenade.
Yes, but I mean, it's listed here as well, so. Yeah, type 2 is less expensive and the difference is Fab 2 type B does not form an astral barrier. It does prevent the movement, but it here we go. It increases the threshold for sensing by 2 while looking through the mist. It lasts for approximately 4 combat turns, less in windy areas. Okay. So you could basically wear a suit that has the bacteria circulating through it. That would make it more difficult to see you, but not to the same degree as the invisibility suits do.
So, I'll relate that blocking the astral vision wouldn't be feasible. So, if there are astral people there, if there are people who are magical in nature, they'll need to be very careful not to be spotted by someone who is conscious.
Well, that was a logical thing we had to worry about because we already were informed ahead of time about this.
That
So
they're likely to have.
yeah.
And it's amusing to me that Kara brings up the whole map thing, because once we do the conference call, I have something to share with all of you.
Is it a map?
No, it is maps plural.
I was hoping it would be a map to pirate treasure.
Well, it's better than crabs. I don't want him sharing, or don't want it sharing that with us.
All right. So, anything else we want to do before this conference call gets started?
Well, Bob,
would like
anything you
to-
wanted to do? Oh, sorry, what was that, Frosty?
I would want to do a few things quickly. Of nature.
What's that you want to do?
First, do a data search generally of the area, just to see, get the general feel of the area, and then look for a place where base could get something a less distinct clothing in case of a land later.
Walk to any convenience store and you can get flats.
Clothing made
Basically.
by a vending machine.
Oh,
Think, like, do you have IKEA furniture store where you are?
not anywhere near, but
Okay,
yeah.
but you understand the concept. So yeah,
Yeah.
flats are like the IKEA of clothing.
You just buy
So
them out of
you get a
fabric.
box of scraps and you have to put it together using very complicated and messy instructions.
Yeah, that's probably a way to put it.
That's written in a quasi-foreign language.
Yeah, okay, so I'll just do the general data search of the area.
Another. Out of curiosity, does anyone have like knowledge skills, shadow community, or anything? Maybe we can try to dig us up some information on this guy.
Yep.
Nope, all I got is firearms and military.
I have some like or information. Where's my browse? There's my browse. Well,
That is a super glitch. Wow. Do you want to edge to get rid of that glitch?
I really wouldn't like to use the edge at this point because it has so few.
How big is your edge pool?
Two.
Don't use an edge.
Yeah, I'm thinking since this is a general glitch in a general data search, I'm thinking that it's okay to go. I fucked up a search term.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not
Just-
going to edge it.
All right. So, Ace, you're going to feel confident that this area shouldn't be too difficult to infiltrate with basically just some workmen overalls, basically. And so, if you want to go walking around the area, just some generic worker jumpsuit should do fine.
Maybe we can get a policeman's costume as well.
And Indian.
Who wants to be the construction worker?
Aren't you listening? That's obviously Ace. Yeah, okay. I'll go with that for now, but I'm thinking maybe I need to at some point roll a common sense to that. But anyway, let's get this show on.
So you're done then for now, you're saying, Frosty?
Yeah, before the conference call.
All right. So a Bob.
I want to try to roll shadow community rumors and see if anyone has any rumors about the guy who's hiring us. See if I can get any inkling as to what this information may lead to and other such things, or as to why he seems so desperate to have this information.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or
See what you can
generally
find out
about this guy.
about
Yeah.
Sliver.
That is. Five hits.
Okay, so Sliver is a pretty well-known technomancer in the community. He originates from the United Canadian American States, and he's done runs basically anywhere where English is the predominant language. So Confederate American States, Australia, London, England in general. But his reputation is more or less overall pretty positive. There are rumors that he might be a technomancer, but he's generally been a positive influence on most of his teams that nobody's ever really even threatened to sell him out about it. So, it is what it is. He's a pro, or at least professional enough. But there are also some mentions that he's seems to have been in or is in a relationship with two other people who rumors suggest are also technomancers, or at least really good hackers. But it's a little hard to follow because those rumors are really ambiguous and not
Tabloidish.
Sorry?
Tabloidish.
Not so much that they're tabloidish, more that they don't ever seem to have significance to the work he does. So nobody has any real concern about. They're too personal, basically. It's like someone mentions it and nobody takes the bait. Nobody asks for a follow up. So it's left hanging, and people are talking about him more in his professional capacity. And there's also mentions that he can have a certain dark side, if you will. It's not that he's sadistic or anything, but when push
Don't
comes,
cross.
well, not even that. It's not that anyone's. Yeah, some people have tried to double cross him, and they found out that it never really worked out in their favor. But he never came after them for revenge. But it's a matter of, in the moment, if push comes to shove, he's going to shove back hard enough to make sure that things are wrapped up quickly. He doesn't dick around and wait for things to escalate. Once things start to escalate, he finishes them and gets out.
Mm-hmm.
He's the kind of person, if it looks like a gunfight's about to start, he'll be the first one to shoot.
Okay. So, yeah. According to the rumors, he's trustworthy then. Nothing about him there, so...
Yeah, most of the rumor monger mill is about his technomancer nature.
Yeah. Nothing really concrete to make use of then.
Well, I mean, you could confirm to all those people that, yeah, he's a technomancer.
There's no real need to do that. was thinking. It's more on the side of nothing really to worry about with this, guys. Anything else?
So I was going to try and upload the maps through Map Tool, but my computer needs to be rebooted. So I'm not going to bother doing that right now. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to send a mass email to all of you with the maps.
Okay. I guess just do a Shadowrun community room list for Evo activity area of what Evo might be doing and what they're talking about Evo doing is in the London area.
Sure, go ahead.
That one's only 2 hits, so I guess nothing much.
Unless you want to edge it.
Nah, how much edge does he have? Do not know how much edge he has, so I'm not gonna roll it.
It should just be on the attributes.
This edge
page.
1.
Oh, he has 1 edge. He's not very lucky.
Yeah, so no.
I
Right,
might have
so-
one roll Cage might make.
Okay, well, let me just answer what Bones gets with that roll, and then we'll find out what Cage is rolling. With the 2 hits, Bones, you can know that, Evo Corporation, it tends to have the best track record for being not an evil corporation, but most people who have run the shadows long enough can tell you there's no such thing as a not evil corporation. It's just Evo is the least evil of the corporations. They still see human life as, a means to an end. It's just unlike most corporations where human life is a means to the end being money or power, Evo sees humanity as the means towards the next step in human evolution. So it's not that we're saying, humans are just slave labor or chattel. It's more that humans are stepping stones for something greater.
They're the least evil AAA, which is like in Limbo against a bunch of basketball players.
So did you get all your questions answered there?
Well, I want to make a little knowledge roll, possibly.
Yeah,
I was asking about Bob specifically.
Yeah, I got all I could get. There's nothing
Okay.
much I can do.
So then, Cage, what was it that you were looking to do?
I wonder if I may make a knowledge military roll to see if Evo employs any mercenaries, mercenary companies.
You don't even need to make a roll for that. This is a black site. Chances are good that if they didn't hire Shadowrunners, they hired a mercenary group. It's pretty much one or the other, possibly both.
Can I make maybe a roll specifically to see if there's a specific type of mercenary group?
You haven't really got any evidence to base that off of yet.
Okay.
But go ahead and make the roll, and I'll see if there isn't something we could get out of it.
Probably not.
So, Evo tends to eschew mercenary groups and tends to go more for traditional private security because mercenary groups tend to have too many screws loose. Evo doesn't like. They want things to be controlled. They don't want vendettas getting in the way of things. And, mercenaries tend to have a reputation of being thorough in the most lethal way possible. Evo isn't interested in body count. Evo is well, they're not interested in dead body count. They prefer live body count.
Okie doke.
So they're like Germany. Everything needs to be neat and tidy.
Not what I had in mind at all. Also, fuck, I was in the middle of composing the email and I changed my mute and unmute shortcut command recently. Control Shift X. In most cases, it doesn't cause any issues. But in my browser, it decides to close the browser. Like, who even... God damn it. Right, so, you know what? Let's just do one more thing. Briar, is there anything you can think of that you'd like to do?
So there was like a mention of needing stealth suits. I have stealth gear. Well, I also have my spirit has concealment. So like, would I need a stealth suit?
So while the player characters haven't had the meeting together yet, when that comes up, you have the opportunity to notify the rest of the team that you've got them covered, that your spirit can provide exactly the sort of magical power that would provide the team the means to infiltrate unseen. But like I said, you're all individuals right now. You're not talking as a group in character. This is all out of character right now.
Yeah.
With the caveat that anyone looking for a spirit, for any reason, like, it's a greater spirit, so it's probably gonna, I mean, like you said earlier, because it's big, like, it might not be hard to find.
Well, and the bigger issue with the spirit is that its power can't pass through astral barriers. And there's a very good chance that this facility will be protected by astral barriers. So the way to get past an astral barrier is to either knock it down or try to recode your creature. I don't think you don't have masking or flexible signature, do you? Those are listed under meta magics in the initiation tab.
No, I have invoking, centering, shielding, and divining.
Right. So it's kind of the situation of your concealment power will be fantastic to help your teammates avoid getting shot at if you go in guns blazing. But to sneak in people while concealment is active, you would need to figure out a way first to get yourself and your spirits inside any astral barriers that might exist. So just something to keep in mind. It is a very powerful ability, but it has its limitations.
Okay, so then I guess what I'm wondering in the end, okay, so never mind. I'm good.
Sure, you didn't have any other question there? It sounded like you had something.
No, yeah, because I was just thinking about, like, getting a stealth suit, but I guess we're going to talk about that after talk about that in character after the call.
Aye, aye. Okay, so if there's nothing else, I think we should take our break a little bit early tonight so I can send out this email with the maps and not shut down my browser again for like the 7th time tonight. But yeah, we'll take a, let's say, 15-minute break, get your foods and beverages and such. I'll send this email, and my wife is being a complete cunt and threatening to hit the escape button. Yes, that would be
Do it.
8, but
Do it.
that
Do it.
wasn't the key combination that would cause the problem,
Do it.
Kristen.
Do it. Do it.
You all realize if she does this, then the game's over, right? Like that
I
ends
will
tonight's
do
session.
it. Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. So
What-
now my wife is
what's-
threatening to unplug things, which, yes, if you unplug any of those wires, the game will also end because that would disconnect me from the internet. Yes, it would also fuck up your Netflix. So she's leaving it alone because it would fuck up her Netflix.
I will plug something in. Oh yeah.
And Kara, my wife hates ice cream, so that's a bad idea.
Wait, she doesn't
What can
like
you
ice
offer
cream?
up?
What kind of monster have you?
She likes ice cream in very particular circumstances.
In a cone in a social situation on
She-
the beach.
She says in a cone, in a social situation, while on the beach.
I got an ice cream cone. Oh yeah.
Something
I'm sorry,
tells
that
me
is-
that El Diablo is missing the Kinky campaign.
Oh yeah. I totally want to
No
play. I
shit.
totally want to play a character called Dr. Smooth Love and that just talks constantly like this. Oh
Like
yeah.
a late night radio DJ?
Yeah.
Okay, on that mental image, I'm going to end the recording and we're going to take our break.
Oh yeah.
So Sliver will be getting in touch with all of you and basically connecting you all into one large happy family conversation of doom.
Then who's the Doomslayer?
I am.
I don't think Ace. If anyone is the Doomslayer in this group, it's Cage. I mean,
No,
he's
I wasn't
obscenely
talking as
powerful.
Ace.
He's got powerful armor and ridiculous guns. Cage
No,
is
no,
the
I was talking
Doomslayer.
about myself.
I know, Frosty, but you're not in the conference call. Ace is in the conference call. You're just speaking on his behalf.
I also think
I'm
Cage can
just
indeed
hating
rip
them.
and tear.
Oh, you can't. You have to continue to do that until you're done.
Oh, in that case, Ace will be Samuel Hayden. Conversation.
Who are you hating? We are way off topic. Right, so you're all in the conference call at this point, and Sliver will say thank you all. I want to just confirm everyone is still ready to go ahead with this particular mission.
Yep.
Yes.
Of course.
Oh,
Yes.
and I suppose I should
Yes.
introduce the two new voices. The masculine one is Ace, and the feminine one is Briar. We've got ourselves a well, okay, out of character. Both of you revealed to Sliver what your talents were, correct?
Yeah, part of the job.
Okay, so he'd
Sure.
say Ace is a social adept face, and Briar is a magician with some expert information on spirits and herbology. Well, don't everybody talk at once.
Nice to see you again, Ace.
Sorry, mouthful.
Like,
Out of character, I honestly imagine that's Cage just saying that he's like stuffing like a lamb shank in his mouth.
Well, considering his size, it's not gonna be a shank. It's probably gonna be the entire lamb.
Good gyros.
Cage, chew, swallow before you talk, okay?
All right, so it sounds like we've got a pretty good distribution of talents here. Looking,
And just to introduce the rest of the team to Ace and Briar, we got West End Mike, who I'm not sure you really told me what your speciality is, but you said you had a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
primarily people person, kind of like Ace, but without the magic.
Okay. Durandel, who says she's a, I guess, would street samurai be the most accurate term, or does Durandel have a different phrase for herself? Smoke, who's an
Problem solver.
infiltrator. Bones, who is a medic and magician. And Cage, who is a walking tank. And Durandel will say, Mum said to say if there are any major problems, there will be more. And Durandel would report herself as an assassin. Frosty, you had said something, sorry?
Oh, nothing major.
Okay. So Sliver will say, I've sent out some map that I've been able to locate. Before I go any further, I should mention that a couple of members of your team have decided, as a form of payment, they would like me to utilize my talents with the deep resonance to acquire information for them. So if any of the rest of you have any secrets you want drudged up, get in touch with me and I'll see what I can do for you.
Hold you on that.
Well, I guess that reveals one of the secrets about who it is that, is looking for that kind of information, but in any event.
Well, that's really not a secret. That Ace is looking for information about someone.
Oh, okay. So I thought you were doing that in character, but okay.
Oh, I was, but
Well, I'm looking on these maps. Do you actually have any idea where they're storing this pay data?
As I understand it, the laboratories in this facility are computer laboratories. So sub-level 3, possibly sub-level 4 in the secure labs.
With Shadowrunner luck, it's in the ultra secure lab.
by the way, there's several sub-level ones here.
Sorry, the one that is SR underscore sub-level 1 should be the one to look at.
I don't know why, but I don't have that.
You didn't receive the email, or that particular file isn't in the email?
Oh, I didn't know I had to check my email.
I guess you were AFK the 2 or 3 times I mentioned it. Durandal will say, question, how do you want us to remove the data? As I explained 3 hours ago, you don't. You just get me into the facility. I will do the rest.
Well, at least there's lots of way up and down. I mean, I see 3 elevators and the stairwell.
There's a hydroponics area.
Well, see, it was my understanding that this is not a self-sustained location, but I suppose they may have engineered it originally to be one, and they might indeed have to grow their own food.
If nothing else, it
It's-
cut down on the amount of supplies they need from the outside.
Yeah.
Or hydroponics could just be another area that they're studying at this facility as well, or something.
Given its location, it doesn't look like it's a laboratory. It looks like it's related to the recreational residential area, which means it's probably a practical hydroponics.
Well, if
Durandel says, that's what I mean. How do we do that? Digital connection, physical? And Sliver's like, all I have to do is be within close proximity of one of the server devices. I might have to get into physical contact with it in a pinch, but as long as I'm close to it, it should be good enough. And Dorndal will say very well. And then, sorry, Ace was going to say something?
I was going to say that, well, if it's not a self-sustaining facility, that means there's things going in and out. So that might give us some leeway of filtration.
We can
Yeah,
try to
so-
sneak in on a transport. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Well, maybe not, but use it advantage.
Still have to determine when these transits go in, if they're on a schedule or if they're intentionally randomized. But yeah, there's a possibility that if we can get in one of these like when they're delivering food or whatever, that could be a great way to get in a hurry.
Or we
At
find
least
out
we could
who's
get passes from whoever drives these transport things.
And if not passes, then at least information.
Or we could try to find out where the trucks come from with the supplies and see if we can try to sneak in as the deliverers ourselves instead of having to sneak in as the cargo.
I noticed that the level 7 map is, well, almost blank. So were you not able to get any information about that?
It is my understanding that the bottom floor is maintenance, repair, and plumbing, essentially.
All right. Well, obviously then, if we could figure out some way to deliver something to that bottom floor, well, you know, if something went wrong, our elevator got stuck on level 3 or 4, well, hey, nothing we can do about that, right?
That's potentially a good idea, yeah.
And out of character, I believe Al Diablo had something.
No, I had no comment on this yet.
Sorry, out of character. What's his name again? Sliver?
Sliver, yes.
So I'll speak up. Do you happen to know if the facility is protected by an astral barrier?
Chances are good, but that's really not my expertise. It's the sort of thing that I've certainly run into in the past, but since the magicians on my teams always were the ones to handle that sort of thing, I really can't tell you the full details.
You are a
did-
magician, yes, Bones?
Additionally, Durandal will say, it looks like a lot of areas are funneled choke points. And Sliver's like, yeah, that sounds intentional.
A thought just came to my mind. How?
Well, before we get to your thought, does Bones want to reply to Cage? Is Bones even here, a Bob?
I thought Cage already knew.
I think it was more like an implication, like, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe this is something you should take care of.
Exactly.
But
Well,
it
I am
doesn't-
also a magic user. Except I haven't visited the facility myself yet, so I don't know. But I was going to mention that I have a greater plant spirit at my command that has the ability to conceal people.
Well, if we can get past whatever outer astral defense is set up, that would make that whole stuck elevator plan really work well, since your spirit could then simply conceal whoever needs to actually move in.
Let's just go. Is a Bobob AFK? I haven't heard from him in a bit. Guess so. Okay. He's on the phone. Okay. Frosty, Ace was going to say something?
Yeah. Thought came to mind. I haven't really had any contact or dealt with Evo. How protective are they of their information? Should we be worried that they would be prepared to destroy it in a case of emergency? Or would they
The
go on
information
until...
the information I'm looking to acquire is not the primary research information. They might destroy their primary project, but I don't even know what that is.
If we're even interested in that, well, I don't know. Yeah, but so if we show our hand too early, it's very likely we will lose that. If anyone's interested, but it was just a thought that came to mind.
All right, so sounds like we need to stake this place out for a little while to find out who does what deliveries, and also to do some magical reconnaissance of this place. I checked out the neighborhood nearby. It looks like there's a office building nearby, which I'm sure we could arrange for one of the units, whether it's whether we just break the lock or whether we're able to talk them into renting it to us for a short period of time. That'll allow us to have kind of a little staging area for this whole thing.
I do think I should be careful with walking around there, because if they see, well, one of me walking around, big man like me, they might put it together when big man like me attacks their place.
That brings me to another point I wanted to ask. What's our timetable on this?
As long as it gets done before I die of old age, is what Sliver says. Durandal will say, perhaps a fallback area for supplies and exfiltration, something we can use as a dumping ground the moment before the raid.
And Bones wants to say something.
Except I'm not sure what it is, so I can't quite... Oh, asking if it's an internal network or an external connection. To which Sliver will say, if there was an external connection, I would have already had the data. The network they have in that facility is closed off, which is why I need to get inside.
Very common for a secret.
I hope you don't smoke, Mr. Sliver.
I quit years ago, but it's been real tempting to start up again. Why do you ask?
Well, don't, because if you smoke too much, then you might die of old age very suddenly.
Was that a type of humor? That was in character.
No, I think that's just important health warning. You need to take care of your body, it's very important.
I don't think that's dying of old age. I think that's dying of self-inflicted death.
It's all well and good, but it's kind of detracting us from the job. Durandal will say, a rather inappropriate idea comes to mind. Rather a query? And Sliver will look to her and say, sure, go ahead, as long as it's related to the mission. She'll say, would a facility such as this be obligated to react or be first responders to a nearby situation with Evo, such as a chemical wreck on the track? And Sliver's like, no, they wouldn't blow their cover for anything short of, like, receiving word that a Thor shot's on the way. I mean, sites like this, they hunker down. They don't run for the hills unless it's serious. And Durandal will say, understood. Bones says, so a chance of each level then being its own network outside of a few of his. If I can decipher what Abo Bob wrote, I think he's asking each level inside the facility might have its own network, to which Sliver will say security is probably one single network for the entire facility, with each lab having a dual tronic system that on normal day it's an isolated network, but when they have to file reports it will temporarily make a connection with the administration computer, and then the administration computer would process the information and a data courier would deliver that information highly encrypted and encoded to its destination. At least that's how most black sites operate.
Do you have some
What
former
says-
experience on this?
Oh yeah, no, Sliver's been doing this for decades. He's
But
an
I
old
meant
man now.
as in the black site filtration.
Yeah, I've been on 3 or 4 black sites. I say 3 or 4 because, well, we had a big old argument on whether or not the Atzlan location actually counted as a black site or not. It's not like Atzlan's really all that concerned with doing that kind of research in their own facilities officially.
The advantages of owning your own country.
Well, not just owning your own country, but having solid PR that convinces all of the sheeple out there that, oh no, we're just a food conglomerate. We don't do blood sacrifices, despite all the evidence to the contrary.
Yeah. Write the blood on their labels.
Yeah, I swear that plan's gonna backfire on him one of these days. I'm just not sure whether I'll die of old age or not before then.
Yeah, but count your lucky stars, this isn't an Atzlan site.
Every day.
So might I suggest that it would be a good idea to take our reconnaissance and then reconvene in a few days?
Yep, though the reason we're having this conference call is so we can decide how best to perform those reconnaissance, who wants to work with who, on what time, and what nature of teamwork. And I'll, of course, continue to do what I can, searching the deep resonance for any information that might be helpful about this, as well as researching some of those other things that have been requested of me. If any of you have anything you think I should focus my attention on for this mission, I'm open to suggestions.
I do maybe have an interesting idea. Since they are so happy with hiring meta-humans and a strange being for this black site, maybe I am very curious specimen, maybe I could apply for a job.
Yep, that's definitely on the table. I think the rest of us being humans and elves, as far as I can tell, I don't think we'll have quite the same advantage you would. But yeah, Cyclops, you could try and apply. The only problem with that is it's a black site. They don't have open recruitment. They have talent agents, people who keep an eye open for individuals who show they have the right combination of skills and personality traits. We could try to coach you to exhibit those, but that, like I said, I want this job done before I die of old age, so it's on the table, but I mean, do all
That
of you
might be
wanna
long-term
Yeah.
thing, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if the rest of you want to be working on this job for the next few years. Durandal
Just
will
one
add,
of the more ideas on the list.
Durandal will add, actually, yes. Although they seem to be well self-sustained, it wouldn't be unusual for Evo to possibly supply them somehow, would it not? Or check for any major activity in that area? To which Silver says, absolutely. The thing is, though, they always do that through intermediaries. You'll never see an official Evo executive coming to a site like this unless there's something major going on. And even then, chances are they probably wouldn't take the risk anyway. They'd probably pack up the administrator from the black site and ship them over to the CEO in private. Out of character, who had the idea of the Shadowrunners coming in saying they were here to clean up the site officially?
That was my idea.
Was that something Cage would suggest in character, or does someone else need to come up with that idea in character?
I think Cage could suggest that in character. He has
Okay,
done
so,
mercenary work in the past, so he might have done something like it.
I'll read Durandal first, and then I just want to see, Hunter's been kind of quiet, so after Durandal, we'll see if Hunter has anything to add as Smoke. Durandal says, of course, but if we can find any traffic in that area, we could at least glean some information. Areas where they get supplied, how that's handled, and the like. So, Hunter, are you around?
Yes.
Smoke's been awfully quiet. Anything to contribute?
No, he's just looking at the floor plans, studying them, memorizing them. Memorizing them floor by floor, so he could probably find them
Okay.
with his eyes closed.
This really isn't the time for that, though. This is time for conversing with the group in a conference call.
He's got nothing to add.
You're the infiltration expert, though. You should really be the one contributing information.
The way it's sounding that the other players, characters want to go is social infiltration, which is not Smoke's strong suit. They would have to sneak in alone.
But maybe if he starts giving some ideas, he might be able to persuade the rest of the group that there are other avenues available to them.
Was there any
Go ahead.
mention of that sewer system that West and Mike found with his radar?
There's definitely a plumbing and ventilation system hooked up into this facility. The ventilation ducts and the sewer pipes could be large enough for someone to squeeze through. It would be messy and dangerous in its own right, and that's assuming that the facility doesn't have any special security measures on those. However, Smoke, being the professional thief and infiltrator that he is, has probably had some experience in both of those kind of scenarios. Yes, no, don't you think?
Yes,
So,
very likely.
so it might be worthwhile to perhaps examine the area around the black site for where those ventilation ducts vent out onto the surface, or to find out which sewer lines actually connect with this site. I mean, chances are good that even though it's a black site, Evo would have connected their plumbing to the city's plumbing, because trying to create their own water line is not a easy task. That would require them to do extensive construction outside of the black site. So it's very
Also
likely that they've connected to the sewers directly.
And there's also a possible backdoor that the administrator would have to escape if there was something really major going on.
Exactly, yes.
And
Smoke
yeah,
would bring
Mike
this
would
up.
probably probably mention at some point, I did go around the neighborhood and take a few radar readings. So if anybody thinks they can make heads or tails out of this, and then he kind of send the data file.
And Hunter, you had something else to add?
So Smoke would bring up. And judging by the fact that the administrator would have to leave if something major were to go on, they would more than likely have at least one escape route that isn't easily found, just so that they can escape. So another possible avenue of entry is finding the escape route used by the administrator. Or it may be a little more dangerous in unbecoming and also very, very dirty, but judging by these scans, I'd say you found a sewer system that may be connected to the site. It's possible at least one of us could squeeze through there. But there may be other security measures in that area. So other ways for ventilation and like that to reach the surface.
Well, I know the Durandel girl was pretty small. I don't think I will squeeze easily through anything.
I could possibly squeeze through myself, being slightly smaller.
Durandal will say, a two-pronged assault team, from the front and from below.
Social infiltration from above, stealth from below.
Would work.
I believe
It would also give us
a little
access
bit
to the.
How would I say it? Hasty, as we don't really know anything about anything basically about this place yet. So I would suggest we first try to find some
You keep getting
information.
really quiet.
Right?
Well, that would also might allow us to do some reconnaissance if.
I honestly couldn't hear what Frosty said either, so.
Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can. Any better?
Well, no, it's more a matter that you start normal and then you get really quiet and then you come back and
I'm
you're quiet.
assuming it's the freaking TeamSpeak.
So maybe disable the automatic volume adjustment setting.
Yeah, I'm checking that.
Okay, so while you're adjusting that, Hunter, there was one more thing you were saying, I think, before Frosty.
And actually, I think that was it. The administrator's back door, the sewer entrance, and other possible ventilation areas. Oh, yeah. And it would also possibly give us access to the bottom final sublevel, so we could possibly disable or get control of the elevator.
Or indeed several parts of that complex. If we need a pretense to enter, well, not much better pretense than if something in the mechanical level stops working.
Durandal will say, as long as we keep them from fleeing past the front, if they have no other means to escape, we could cut them down till they have no resistance and collect the data we need. To which Sliver will say, I want to put a pin in that idea for now, Durandal. That seems, if it comes down to it, sure, but that seems like a good way to make a lot of enemies.
We're not here to stop the workers. We're here to just get the data. If they run, they run.
Anyone know how to pilot or make use of any form of mini drones or micro drones? Anything we can send to the ventilation? Or to the exhaust areas, so we can at least try to send something in through there?
So, out of character, this would most likely be a video conference call. Is that acceptable for everyone, or would you rather
Yep.
just audio?
Also, how's my audio? Any better?
Audio sounding better. Okay, so everyone can go ahead and do a judge intentions roll after Bones says what Bones says.
Smoke is not broadcasting video because his.
It doesn't matter if you're
color-
broadcasting, it's if you're receiving video. In reply to what Sliver said to Durandal, Durandal says, that is true. I was only thinking about this efficiently, and more thinking mines usually means more potential problems. As she'll say, noting your reluctance, I will ensure I am well stocked on non-lethal options for threat neutralization. Good that the two social characters are the ones who actually are scoring a significant number of hits here.
Well, give me a sec. I'm checking something. Well,
Yep. Briar, not bad. How perfect. Okay. Since Bones, West End Mike, and Ace all got 6 hits, I'm just going to say it out loud rather than privately. When Bones brought up a mention of drones, Sliver got that kind of wistful, looking off into the middle distance kind of expression on his face. The sort of thing that 3 of you would recognize as sort of lost love.
okay.
Well, I don't know if I have much skill at piloting such things, but I could certainly get a hold of a few. Might take me a day or two, but I'm sure I can get some recon drones without a problem, if anybody does have the skill to pilot them.
You have to use a computer to pilot them, yes?
Yes.
Then
Yes,
I'm not
Gage.
good at piloting them.
Yeah, the basic form of interface would require a computer of some kind, yes, but there's more high-tech methods of controlling a drone.
I
Yeah,
might
no,
be-
that does not make it better, Bones.
I might be able to do so.
Sliver, you seem to be the tech expert here. So you think you could pilot some through the ventilation and exhausts?
That's never really been my forte, you could say. I've always been more about the software end of things. And out of character, all of those ums and ahs and sighs were in character, by the way.
Okay. You sure? Because it seems like when I mentioned the drone idea, it
No,
struck a chord with you in some
I
form.
told you it's not my forte. Someone wants to do drones, by all means. I'm not going to be able to.
Not every technomancer flies little robots around, Bones.
Doesn't say so.
And Kara, just because it's a video conference call doesn't mean they can see Durandal's hand. So if she has something to say, she should just say it. After all, she's not Prodigy.
Well, Kara. Yeah.
So
were
Frosty,
saying
there was something you were saying earlier when your audio was crapping out?
Yeah, I already forgot that, but I have another question or idea that I wanted to say that could Sliver be able to get us a sort of a, well, I guess map of the cameras in the area on the above ground? Like
Yeah,
not
no,
even
that's-
maybe.
That's certainly doable. I'll make a note to get as many access cameras as I can.
Or we know about, because I'm thinking they might be using those as well. I mean, maybe. I don't know the tech stuff so well, but I would think that if they are as powerful corporation as Evo, they would be using all possible resources they have, even the, well, open ones off the ground. So if we know that the cameras have, we can avoid them to reduce the chance of getting caught while we do our initial information gathering.
Like you said, you did a couple drives around, right?
Yeah, I checked out the neighborhood.
Was there anyone sitting around just sitting in their vehicle while it's parked? Also, because considering it's also a high-powered organization, they're also likely to have people watching the outside.
I don't remember seeing anybody, but since the entrance to this facility is inside a building, they might just be inside the building. I do know that there's plenty of security cameras around there, you know, and not just on their building either.
I'm also thinking, like, alright, going through an actual recruiter and getting recruited might be too long a maneuver, but maybe we can get fake recruitment papers and get someone in as a mole?
I can attempt to see if I can find out what kind of documents are needed for that. That will probably be a deep dive, though. That's not something I can guarantee.
Okay, well, maybe we try. If it doesn't work, it does not work. We all try good.
So Evo's looking for people to, well, sorry, out of character, I'm losing the words from my head. What they're doing with the people, they're doing research.
We don't know what their primary project is here. We just know that it is a.
But in general,
It's a black site research facility, so it means they're doing something that would get them.
out of character, I meant like overall, general. Evo is doing research on
Evo's primary objective is to meet the next step in human evolution. They're trying to find out what a post-human being would look like. So whether that's magical, technological, cybernetic, biologically engineered, perhaps it's not even human at all. Maybe it's some other species on the planet Earth will become the new dominant species. Evo focuses their attention on the future. They
Okay,
are the
that
first.
answers me.
One other major thing: they are the first corporation to have a fully sustained colony on Mars.
Okay. So I was just thinking that they are looking for the specimens on the next step of evolution. It's always possibility that we can drum up some fake interest or whatever you want to call it on our backup friend here, and make him interesting enough that they would want to get him. And if it's close enough to the black site, they might use that as a convenient place to, well, get him.
Well, I mean, if we're going ahead with the plan of getting him employed, yeah, we'd certainly fudge the resume so that he looks like he's a transhuman extremist or something. Absolutely.
I was thinking more out of papers and more like general
I do not know if I'm
visibility of interest.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like media, sort of.
oh, so you're saying we make him famous?
I'm not saying we make him. I'm just giving that as one possible idea.
No, it's a possibility, but if he's famous, then Evo Corporation is more likely to try and snap him up on a white site, not a black site. I mean, after all, fame is marketable.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not extremist, but I like trans people.
Transhuman, not whatever. Durandal had said, out of curiosity, would there ever be an instance where this would be an emergency safe house for an Evo operation? To which Sliver says, you know what? That's a good idea. Yeah, you know what? If an Evo operation went really, really bad, they might be forced to use this as a safe house. But, I mean, I don't know what other safe houses there are in the area. I mean, I could do some research and then we could maybe take out all the other safe houses so they were forced to go to this. That's a possibility. It's a lot of work, but it's a possibility.
Or, you know, we're the Evo operatives that need a safe house.
Yeah, or we are evil.
I mean, if we're doing a black op, it's not like they're going to publicize it. So if we come in and said we had an op that went bad,
Or we say this op has gone bad and we are here to clean out this operation and hide all the evidence.
There's
Thing
a
is,
lot
so
of
wouldn't they have security phrases or something like that to clarify if they are Evo agents or not?
probably, but that sort of thing can be faked, at least long enough to get us in and out.
Out of character, real quick, what was the other thing I was going to research? There was hacking the exterior cameras. There was something else you asked Sliver to do, and then there was also researching the safe houses. What was the other thing you asked him to do?
Credentials for a new employee. If we wanted to fake those for Cage or something.
Basically figure out what goes into those.
Okay. Durandal will say it would also have to be a high-level job or reason for them being there, but could provide enough cover for rearguard infiltration and assault. Out of character, Abraxas, haven't heard from you for a bit. Are you still with us?
Yeah, but I was probably mostly just listening with interest. She doesn't know too much about actually infiltrating a place. All she can really contribute is yeah, magic stuff.
Well, you also have your character's personal experiences and perception on life in general. So maybe there are past experiences you can draw on that might, with some creative thinking, be applicable to something you could do to make this operation viable.
Not really sure what, beyond like I said, the spirit ability that I have, and checking for magical stuff, he's sensing, I guess.
Western Mike can take us to drive around to those locations when he was doing his scans, and we can get an astral sense of the place. Willing to drive us back to those locations.
So Briar, that's like Briar Patch. Maybe, right? Right? Is that inspired by that?
Indeed.
Can you grow plants?
I I can.
Like big magical plants.
Yes.
Maybe if we find like ventilations have to go out somewhere, maybe we find where the ventilations come out and you grow some very obstructive plants there.
Sliver's like, you could do something like that? That could be really brutal. Cause them all to have severe allergies.
I have some really better ideas, but it depends on what they have in those ventilation areas in the way of scanners to detect pollutants and anything coming in and out of it.
I'd imagine they'd have a full air quality sensor. Hold on a second. Out of character, I need to check to see what the.
HEPA filter plus X plus beyond.
I'd imagine they'd have a full set of olfactory sensors in there to make sure that nobody tries to slip in chemicals or explosives through that means.
Oh yeah, but the cage was asking Briar about making plants grow. So what
Oh,
about
yeah,
like serious hay fever?
Yeah, I was talking
That's
to,
not a
to Bobo's character.
Bones.
Yeah, Bones.
But I mean, chemical compounds. Yeah, sure, it would detect those and consider them a threat and attack. But I mean, if over a course of a few days the weeds got really bad, I mean, it's May.
Yeah,
Summer's
that's-
just around the corner.
Yeah, that's a totally legit idea. If nothing else, it'd probably stop the air intakes up quite thoroughly.
Yeah, and that would not stop them, I think, but it'll put a little bit dent in the operations. And when you have a dent, you just have to hammer harder on that dent till you have a hole.
But what would that really do? All we need to do is get inside the facility and find this information. It's not like we need to affect their day-to-day.
Well, because if you're trying to talk your way past somebody, having their routines thrown off helps you. Routines
Also,
are-
if they are, I'm sorry, but if they are compromised, their rest is probably compromised, and when people are not well rested, they make mistakes.
It's been a while since I've had to go through this, but I'm quite sure. How familiar are you, and what kind of parabotany can you grow, Briar? Only specific plants, or do you have all of Mother Nature at your beck and call?
So, out of character, I have
Out of character. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have the accelerate plant growth spell. So that's more or less what I was thinking. She carries seeds around with her, and can also shape mud, as like a growing stratum.
So pretty much anything we can get the seeds for and get them in the right spot.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so the way Briar is, I'm trying to think. Well, Radical Eco Shaman was the concept which sparked Abraxas's interest. So Briar is essentially a earth/plant mage is her focus. So I'm just trying to think of like a popular culture example that we can draw.
A
from.
floromancer?
I guess you could say
A druid? Your traditional fantasy JRPG druid?
No animals though. She doesn't have that connection to the
No, but they
animal
also have
part
that
of
connection
nature.
to where they can grow flowers and use plants and magical plants and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I guess druid without the animal component. Do you think that's a fair way to put it, Abraxas?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, druids sometimes have like healing stuff too. I don't really have much in that area. Basically, yeah. I would say floromancy is kind of accurate.
So, to bring this all back to answer Bone's question, she might not have all of Mother Nature at her beck and call, but she could politely ask Mother Nature for help in many different ways.
Exactly.
And she also, if you don't mind me saying, Abraxas, Briar has knowledge on where to find numerous types of specialty plants. She actually has a, what is the word? Subscription? Membership. A membership to one of Britain's protected magical refuges. So she has permission to go to that park and harvest plants with proper authorization.
That must have been a trick to get.
It was so still out of character. It was sort of my like practice run with Chummer and Map Tool on like Saturday night.
Well, it obviously went well.
It did very well.
Yeah, she managed to turn a couple of glitches around and actually turn them to her advantage in the end. Oh, Frosty, you have something you want to say?
Ace would hype out, but I must insist that we are maybe looking all this a bit too broadly, so early. We know generally very little of the site, so I think we should investigate the area, and once we have more information, then work out the actual plan of attack. Knowledge is power and all that.
To which Sliver will reply, absolutely, and I know you're all professionals, but just for my own peace of mind, I'm going to reiterate here, don't do anything that will put a stop to our job before it even really starts. Be extra careful with your reconnaissance. If they start to get suspicious that someone is casing the place, then we might run into more resistance than we really will be able to handle, or worse, they might pack the site up and leave.
Yep, I'm sure they've got people watching for that sort of thing, so we will need to be careful.
If, well, Mike, you said you saw a building nearby that had a lease agreement, right?
Yep.
Well, maybe if we come up with a legitimate reason why we're all there, if we're all part of some company that's, starting out.
Yep, that's kind of where my brain was going on that. I think we can probably sell them on that. Explain to them that we can't
Oh,
really
we can
provide
sell
much
them
up
on
front
that.
because we're just starting out.
What kind of... Oh, wait. Before that, Durandal will say, I think it would be best for me to just collect my gear until needed. I do not feel suited to scouting. I am, as a friend puts it, rather disconcerting in the magical, and I set off many other red flags to traditional scanners.
I also think, for me, it's the same thing. Like, Cyclops person is not very common in these parts.
Understandable.
So either I would need disguise while casing, or I just stay away from casing.
Well, even if you're not casing the place, there are potential other avenues. I don't know if any of you happen to have contacts that you can reach out to, people who know people, that sort of thing, or perhaps there's some simulations you could run based on the map information we've got, like just anything you can do to keep yourself busy to help out the team.
I will try simulations, I think. If that's easy. And, well, Cage does have a lot of contacts, but I obviously have no idea who these contacts are, so... As a player, I mean.
Okay, so Jacob Jack-Lantern Lumiere is basically a demo man who is both a hacker and a magician and a dwarf. Annabeth Athena Chase is a mercenary and combat trainer. She is a, what's the phrase? A boot camp, a...
Drill
Drill
sergeant?
sergeant. Yes, drill sergeant for the Hellenistic basically the religious group that Cage is part of is one part Greek mythology worship and one part mercenary group.
Right, right. And Nathan Street Speed?
That one's a secret. Bones doesn't
Okay.
know. That's Bones' lover who left Bones to go on a dangerous mission and hasn't been in contact with Bones since. He is still in contact with Cage, though, and Cage knows, don't mention that I'm still in touch with you.
Okie dokie. Thank you for enlightening me. And, well, the rest of the group at this point.
Yeah, I mean, with neither Twister nor Andre here, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Okay, and who's Gabriel Goliath?
That's your enemy.
Oh, it is. Oh, so Jacob Jack Lantern. Sorry.
That's the demo man who has magic
Okay.
and hacking skills.
Okay, so we have a
That
similar
might
guy
be
then.
a handy person to contact.
We might need to make use of emergency demo skills in case we have to. But we just continue our casing before we go anywhere near explosives.
And I mean, both to Voyne and Cage, Briar did say she has a spirit with the ability to conceal you, so even if you feel you're inconspicuous, she can make you plenty conspicuous. Or wait, the other way around. Sorry, other
Yeah, I
way
was
around.
just thinking. Like,
I was thinking that, wait, that doesn't sound right.
I screwed that up. The other way around. Sorry.
Indeed, the other way around. Concealment, not unconcealment.
put glitter on them.
By the way, I forgot. I had Briar's token too large. She's a gnome, so I made her token smaller to represent that.
Yeah, though I think even from the video call we wouldn't be able to tell that real quick, I imagine.
She has a very childlike face, but she wears enough makeup, it looks like, to actually convince you that she's just got a pretty face rather than a childlike face. Is that correct, Abraxas?
Yes, makeup is very beneficial. And you want people to take you seriously.
Maybe Pirate could learn a thing or two. Pirate seems to think just being a chain smoker is enough to make her look like an adult.
I mean, it probably doesn't hurt.
Or she's just a fucking delinquent.
That's my sister's duty.
Oh, just blame me for everything now, when it's just as expedient for you. You bloody cunt.
Hey, I go to the massive rap sheet where a lot of the causes of these situations we have gotten into has been because of you.
You're the one that blew yourself up. Anyway, we're both not here.
You're role playing as characters that aren't even present right now. So perhaps. All right. So to bring this all home, unless anybody else still has some ideas they want to share, or shall we bring this to a wrap up?
I think that'd be about it.
Okay. So it sounds like the plan is to do some more research on the area. Ace, you have something to say?
Yep. So, like you were saying, probably going to say that Ace would say and propose that we figure out who can contribute and how in the information gathering department, and that from that we figure out how we can use these skills in the utmost efficiency to do that. Information gathering, and from that we then move forward.
Well, let's
Hello?
see here. Yeah. Well, let's see here. We've got a couple of magically skilled people. We've got 2 socially skilled people. We've got a couple of heavy hitters, and we've got an infiltration expert, along with, of course, Sliver's tech expertise. So probably Ace and Mike, myself, will go see about getting that nearby place rented so that we now have a pretext for being in the area. Smoke can go ahead and start doing some more direct reconnaissance, since he's unlikely to be spotted doing that. While Briar and Bones, when we get it, we can have you guys set up and start taking a look at that place in the astral, see what kind of astral security it's got on.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me. Out of character, I'm busy looking through the parabotany, what we can make use of book.
Go to the final chapter. It tells you how to make up your own plan.
Oh, that will be used for later.
Okay.
Sounds good. All sounds good to me.
I was like, I agree with your plan, but I was more thinking of using more of a social infiltration myself. Get a non-suspicious getup and move about in the area a little bit to see if there's anything to see.
Well,
And
we can certainly do both.
Hmm,
I can take care of the building if you want
That
to
was-
do that.
That was actually what Smoke was planning on doing himself. Even for an elf, he blends in quite easily. Get some street clothes.
And
the
Durandal
question
says,
is, do you have the gift for gab, as it were, to get out of a situation that might be a little tense?
No, but I am quite easily lost in a crowd.
this is an industrial area, or sorry, well, yeah, industrial commercial area, not really crowded per se. Basically, it's people show up for their shifts and then they're inside the buildings. No real foot traffic. Durandal will mention, though, like a contractor surveying the area for a client.
Maybe. That's
Yeah,
a
the
possibility. I was
the-
thinking a little over, like a common nobody walking around.
Well, again, it's an industrial area, so Voyn's idea would work wonderfully for Smoke. If there's, you have a high disguise, right, Smoke?
Guys, I don't think it's particularly high, but it's not terrible either. Yeah, it's only 10.
Okay,
Not
10's
terrible.
not.
Hey, but
Yeah. So you could potentially get a disguise of being a contractor, and basically you're using devices that are appropriate for, well, we want to buy this property and build on it. So I'm using this scanning device. Well, I'm pointing it over here a little. No, I'm pointing it over here. So Voin raises a very good plan. Meanwhile, West End Mike and or Ace could go the business magnate route and go to the area as the client who is like, I like this property. I want to buy it. And then, gift of gab comes in handy. Durandal will say it might be worthwhile to acquire some fitting props, such as a camera and level scanner. Exactly, yes. But I'm curious, between Bones, Bones, West End Mike, and Ace, what are your leadership skills, with and without software, if you happen to have empathy software?
I think 6 for Bones.
I think Bones is higher with some tech he has.
Bones doesn't rely on tech. I think, again, Bobob's sheet is the incomplete one. I think Bones should have a ludicrous leadership because he's a dryad.
Yeah, it's 6, which is all I got untrained.
Okay, yeah, so I definitely have to get you the more updated character sheet.
Ace has 14.
Oh, looks like West End Mike has Ace beat then.
And actually, come to think of it, this is not
Social.
also not updated, so it'd actually be 2 points higher to both of those numbers once the updated character sheet arrives.
Well, if I had my updated sheet, I could start buying stuff.
And also bear in mind that also has the training times. Mike might not actually have those points just yet in this timeline.
Actually, I think we do, because I think I think it was like by the 20th or something that we were done.
Well, right, well.
Yeah, we'll have to check, but yeah, it didn't take all that long.
Okay. So we've got a loose idea, I think, for everybody, or is there anyone here who still feels they're unsure of how they're going to contribute in the next phase? Well, it sounds like Kara doesn't know how Durandal is going to contribute.
Same with Cage a little bit, honestly. I'm figuring maybe Cage and Durandal could do some practice runs, already preparing for how to do shit if... or maybe draw up a battle plan or something if shit does go wrong.
I was going to say, I'm sure your tactical expertise will be very important as we start planning out.
Mm-hmm. You
But I
can
mean-
start looking at the map once we get inside. What are the best ways to move about, and what are the dangerous, non-dangerous areas and such from the information we have.
And additionally, you both could do some research on potential threats. So I don't know what knowledge skills you each have, but you could try, like, you've been told that there are potential pixies at the site, potential Naga, potential Sasquatch. The two of you should try and come up with plans on how to take down targets like that, or how to bypass them if at all possible. Yes, you're not experts on magic, but you're both quite high on combat tactics, as I recall, which means you should be able to ascertain general tactics that could be applicable.
Sounds good.
And this, yes, Durandal also has Shadow Community. That could be huge if Durandal wants to, if not herself, go out and speak to some people to at least provide information to West End Mike or Ace or Bones about go talk to these people, see what information they have. Go talk to those people, see what information they're willing to buy. That kind of thing.
And your contacts, of course.
Heard of for what specifically? Also, out of character, I could have swore that Voin had Shadowrunners as a knowledge skill. Okay, so knowledge of Evo operations in the area. So knowledge of Evo operations in the area. You wouldn't have that, but you would know in the Shadow Community potentially who could have that information. So you roll Shadow Community to see who has the answer to that. How to deal with pixies, you could either roll, your combat tactics, or you could roll Shadow Community to see who might have information on that.
Question. If Smoke's going to pose as a contractor that was hired to go out and inspect the area, would his economics knowledge skill help him in that regard?
Tangentially, but economics is generally more suited to people sitting behind a desk. But yeah, Kara, with your 10 exploding dice, only getting 2 hits, that's kind of painful. Yeah, 2 hits. Durandal knows pretty much everybody who's part of, part of our campaign. So, goodness gracious, great balls of Durandal. Who does she know? Other than Bo, that is. Well, when Callie moved to Finland, they brought along a bunch of the Shadowrunners from the Hammer. One of them was the drone dude. So he's been kind of out of sight lately, but maybe you could try and see what the drone dude knows about Evo. Okay, so Durandal will send the contact information of Drone Dude to Ace, or at least the closest equivalent to the contact information for Drone Dude. I have to admit. Oh, someone's going to say something.
I was
No,
going
just
to
scratching my
ask.
head.
I was going to ask that. What does Durandal want Ace to do with this? contact information? Should he try to ask him opinions or try to recruit him to come here, or what? Like, what's is Durandal's idea?
While Kara is typing that, I'm just going to mention that I did not get a lot of restful sleep last night. So I think, unless there's something pressing anyone wants to do, we should probably wrap up early tonight. Then during the week, I'd like to one-on-one hammer out a bunch of the research and groundwork rules with each of you, just so that when we come to next Monday, we can jump straight into sharing the information as a group to establish what the plan will be, because then we'll have all our cards on the table, as it were.
That sounds fine to me.
And we can sort of, if anybody gets a brilliant idea, we can put that in BBM and, converse about it.
Derail the train.
I still think that's like the plan R or S, as in destruction.
There was a plan that I shared with one of the players in private, but I don't even know if that player read their private messages. So I'm saying this out loud to see if all players would just quickly check their private messages. But Durandal will say to Ace to try to get information from Drone Dude about Evo. He's an old friend of Khaled. He might be useful. I have to pursue other problems, and I think I would be more likely to cause problems if I called him.
And Ace will simply just confirm, like, okay.
Well, all I got in private messages is basically the idea that, we act like a other Evo team there to investigate or possibly shut down the black site. But I think I already in character mentioned that.
A couple of times.
Yeah, that wasn't the private message in particular I was referencing, but it's good to keep that idea fresh because as a social infiltration, there is merit there. Might have to be tweaked slightly to work, but...
Not least of which being, it would explain why we have several heavily armed people in our group.
And a combat medic.
How do you check your private messages?
So in Map Tool, you can try and scroll. A whisper is the way a private message comes in in Map Tools, and in TeamSpeak, it should just immediately pop up as a tab on the bottom of the chat window. So if I send you a message right now, this is a message. Oh, and if you close the chat tabs in TeamSpeak, you have to double click on the person's name to reopen them. And if you haven't turned on chat logging, closing it will delete everything in that chat log.
If we want to go with the minor distraction hay fever idea, I did find a plant we could maybe, using the mechanical rules, mutate or magicify to make it very, very stronger.
Does
Apparently it's the
bones
plant-
have chemistry?
I have chemistry pharmaceuticals, 1113.
Oh boy, the two of you together with Pyrette, all three of those characters could make some very horrible things.
Yeah, right now I'm just thinking, like, maybe we can make... Because apparently ragweed is one of the leading causes of hay fever in the UK. And it's, sort of its, pollinating season is in May. If I recall correctly.
And mutated plants have been cropping up all across the world ever since the Awakening. So, yeah, if you want to try and locate magically awakened ragweed and or pharmaceutically mutated ragweed, those are totally options in the Shadowrun universe.
We quick roll that around the ventilation stuff. They're gonna have a bad time. And maybe we could maybe use it as an entryway idea into we're here to be the cleaners or the removal team or whatever.
Or if not that, then it would definitely make a hell of a distraction for whatever plan we come up with.
Well, cause yeah, they're in a confined space, and even with the best kind of air filter you got, it can only do so much.
What knowledge skills does Bone have on that sheet?
Biology, anatomy, chemistry, pharmaceuticals, English speak, magical theory, sorcery, military, army, Shadowrunner community, rumors, Spanish native.
All right, roll for me your pharmaceuticals and your magical theory each.
So 13 for pharmaceuticals and then 9 magical theory. Okay. Six hits, magical
Very
basic
nice.
magical theory. Three hits.
So, I'll say that Bones is aware of Fab. You as a player remember what Fab is, right?
Yeah.
So, he's not a genetic engineer expert, but perhaps if he put his head together with Briar, the two of them might find a way to piggyback Fab on ragweed into the ventilation system.
And because there's a lot of dual. Oh, this is just making that even already nastier.
I'm assuming Briar knows what Fab is. She probably doesn't want anything to do with it.
All right, so if Bones does make that proposal to Briar, she'll say no. Is that right?
If he can convince her, she might hesitantly go along with something. But Fab just sounds like a bad time for anyone who has magic. Well,
It depends on.
I know it's Fab 3, I think it is. That's the
Fab
really
3's
bad
really
one
bad.
that like eats your mana. But
I was thinking more like Fab 1 or Fab 2 to deal with those who are trying to conceal themselves magically or astrally.
I mean, true. Maybe.
And if you do Fab 2, not only does it reveal them, but it makes it much more difficult for astral entities to be going here and there, and it magically slows them down as well. I wasn't thinking Fab 3 because I'm gonna have to go in there. There's other maybe magical people who have to go in there as part of the group, like Ace. Don't want them getting into that kind of stuff when it starts eating people's mana. And astral. Yeah.
Just no Fab 3 at all.
No, that
I
was
would
off
just
the table.
I would just be concerned that even if we made, I guess, I don't know, is there any way it can like go crazy and turn into Fab 3 all by itself?
We're playing God
No.
by botany, so
The amount of effort it took to make Fab 3, no way you're going to do it accidentally.
Okay,
so we're
good.
not gonna get a freak mutation.
Unless you get a critical glitch right at the perfect time.
Please no.
We have edge
also-
for that, so yeah.
So
Also,
I was gonna suggest. Yes. So I was gonna suggest that if we want to create a distraction, outside the facility, is there like a homeless population in the area?
So, based on Mike's earlier reconnaissance, there was a couple of abandoned buildings which have maybe a few homeless people at them, which, with some convincing, could probably end up getting turned into a shantytown very quickly.
So yeah, I was thinking that we could run some sort of like event for homeless people in the area. Like a
Soup kitchen?
yeah. Or I don't know, entertainment.
Well, wait, you got plants, I got that. We can do some free drugs.
I'd rather not use drugs. Drugs, no.
Durandal will say, a distraction at the rail yard could be many situations. A typical Eurozone work strike. A chemical truck ran off the road. A damaged line needs repair and environmental activists take action.
Okay, all trains now like electric at this point, so like we have to worry about
They are drone
rail?
operated with a spider, basically a rigger operating them from a safe locale.
No, I'm just curious about the rails being like more like subway rails with like the third rail and stuff like that to worry about.
Though I figure that these distraction would be to hide our surveillance rather than, because as we've already established in the first thing, the black side basically is not going to respond too much to outside distractions.
It won't respond, but there's still usefulness in keeping them distracted because something big is going down right next door to them. 'Cause
Okay.
they could be afraid, oh no, someone might discover us, so they'll be distracted with that and not watching their rear flank while they're paying attention to the front door, kind of thing.
Either during the investigation or, the actual execution of the plan. Possibilities are limited but varied. Yeah,
All right.
Ace would prefer that.
Anything else for tonight then, or shall we wrap it up now?